Once there was an old woman who finally got herself a cottage with a small piece of land out back. This made her very happy, even though she saw that the ground was chock full of weeds with just a few bare spots of plain dry dirt here and there. However, she also saw tiny patches of lovely green grass almost hidden among the weeds. Well, she knew what had to be done. First thing, before even starting to plant her dream garden, was to get rid of the weeds. She got out her tools, and dropping down on hands and knees, she dug and dug with a little spade. But after a bit, she saw that only the top parts of the weeds came out, leaving the roots happily intact underground. Well, the next thing to try, she thought, was to pull the weeds out by hand. Grabbing the upper parts of these pests, she yanked and twisted with all her might, hoping to pull the whole thing up, root and all. When the weeds finally came out, though, the roots deep in the earth were exposed, showing a network of winding and twisting branches, tentacles far down. How could she get all those entwined roots? It seemed hopeless. But then she remembered hearing about a weed killer of some kind. That should do it, she thought. The old woman got some of that stuff and put it all over the weeds. This should be the answer, she was sure. But no, it wasn't. As she worked to get rid of this pesky growth, she could see new tiny weeds sprout up as fast as she took out the older ones. A time came when she faced what was happening. Her efforts weren't working. What could she do? She looked around at the yard and the weeds and finally accepted that they would always be there. But she also still longed for lovely grass to grow on her land, so she finally abandoned the idea of getting rid of the weeds, and a new plan emerged. What she did was scrape the bare, hard patches of dirt with a forked hand tool until the earth was loose and ragged. Into these rough clumps of earth she scattered plenty of new grass seeds. Next came the watering of the seeded patches, really good. Following that, she scattered fertilizer over the whole place and watered everything again. She watered and fertilized the scraggly grass patches with great care and loving attention. This went on for quite a while. Then, early one morning, when she rounded the corner of her cottage, she came to an abrupt stop at the sight before her. Green, tender grass covered her whole yard. It was beautiful. What had happened? The sweet green grass had taken over, overwhelming the weeds. It must have come about so gradually that she hadn't noticed. The old woman's heart filled with joy. She knew the weeds were still there and would always be there, but that didn't bother her. The lovely new green grass was there too, in full force. That's where she'd put all her care and attention to now.